Right. Okay, so the announcement of the shutting down of Port Harcourt Refinery for maintenance and sustainability assessment starting, well, it has generated controversy coming just months after the $1.5 billion refurbishment that was funded under the former NNPCL leadership. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited had announced the shutting down of the refinery on Saturday for routine maintenance, with assurance that it is collaborating with stakeholders, including the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, to ensure the exercise is conducted efficiently and transparently. But this has sparked debate, with industry experts questioning why maintenance is needed, considering the impact that this will have on petrol supply nationwide. Other critics believe this is crucial to ensuring effective operations. Meanwhile, civil rights organizations and labor unions are calling on all those in charge of the refinery to give account of money spent on rehabilitation. Well, joining us now on Newsnight is oil and gas expert Olabode Sowunmi. Good to have you on Newsnight. Thanks for joining us. So,
good evening.
Here we are again talking about this Port Harcourt refinery, this problem that just refuses to go away, shutting down a facility after 6 months of, after it was commissioned. We're told that it was, up and running as of November, and here we are, it's being shut down for maintenance just within a space of 6 months. Is something fundamentally wrong here?
I don't know whether the issue is fundamentally wrong. Maybe the issue will be fundamentally the information that we are given. Right. So in other ideal circumstances, it's the NNPC themselves that should be able to say in terms of facts what the real situation is. So what we can do is based on the information available to us to analyze it and be able to ask more questions.
And that information includes that it will be fixed within a space of 30 days. And some are already wondering, will it, 30 days enough to fix whatever the problem is? So, hazard a guess, what
if they are changing a pump, they could fix it in less than a week. Okay. So the issue is, what are they doing? Because from the information available to me in the previous was that at the time that the refinery was declared fit for use, when the commissioning was done, it's basically was that it wasn't the whole system that was functional at that time, but there was a part of it, which maybe like 40 to 60%, depending on how you look at it, a section of it which was available to produce a product, and that was maybe for political reasons, maybe for expedience, but for whatever reason, that was pushed into the public space. And whether that is the case or not, the person who actually, the best doctor for a patient is the doctor on site. So the person who really knows is the NNPC themselves. So NNPC was a bit more explanation in terms of what has happened and why there's a discrepancy between the information that is available to us in the past and the information we are currently dealing with.
Great. So you do agree that the NNPC is not giving enough information as at yet?
I wouldn't say not giving enough information. I would say that
they
owe us an explanation.
Okay, great. That's fine. Just last week at their inauguration, talking about the new board by President Bola Tinubu at the Villa, the board was asked the question about options, including privatization of the refineries. And I remember both the chairman and the group CEO saying no option is off the table. Now that this shutdown has happened, we've heard some of the industry experts also sing along that line to say privatization, it's time to privatize. But let me ask you, because you are also someone in the industry, is this the only realistic path to getting Nigeria's refineries to be efficient and productive with all of the billions we push into it, privatization? Is that the way to go?
I wouldn't necessarily say that, because you see, sometimes privatization, the way it is being pushed, is a way of pushing the problem away. Because when you privatize or you don't privatize, you are going to leave the management to people. The whole idea of privatization is that the private hands are supposed to be more effective than the public hands, and in that essence, they are supposed to to work better, get better access to funding and all that. I mean, theoretically. But we have also found out with the case of the privatization within the power sector that is not necessarily so. With the case of the privatization within the telecoms and ICT space, yes, it did prove that. So there are cases of plus and minus. But what we need to do, and what I will expect the new management to do, is to actually look at the situation that they found themselves and be able to identify a solution that is fit for purpose. Because we are not just going to assume that privatization solves all problems. It doesn't necessarily solve all problems. So what are the causative factors to why there seems to be sabotage, or there seems to be whatever reasons that you keep having all these issues repeating themselves? Those factors need to be identified. Is it people problems? Is it old machinery? Is it consistency? Is it capacity? You know, whether it's capacity or whatever issues, those things need to be identified and then solved. When we have a functional refinery, then we can now be talking about privatization or not. Because for the refinery
will
to
it
work,
function at this stage? I mean,
no, it will.
Take off.
We are not going to. No, we are not going to mystify the situation.
Right.
It is the refinery is a machine and it's being operated by people. It's not spirits that are there. So if it is not functional, it is a people problem.
Right.
So
whether it's in private hands or
not, it is a people problem. Is it that
the people of LMA, where this refinery is actually situated, they've condemned the shutting down of the refinery. In fact, they say there is a level of sabotage going on here. Who doesn't want Port Harcourt Refinery to work? Whether it's Port Harcourt Refinery, Kaduna Refinery, or other refineries, Warri Refinery. Are there interests that really don't want these refineries to take off, to actually work?
Okay, so, you know, we used to produce 2.5 million barrels per day on record during the era of Jonathan. We were struggling to achieve 2 million barrels per day. And in fact, that's one of the targets for the new NNPC board. So the question is, who doesn't want us to produce 2 million barrels per day? So those are human problems. Those are Nigerian issues. You understand? Because you can go to a whole myriad of issues, myriad of interests, and all that. Those are Nigerian problems. As to it's the same thing that applies to the LMA. I mean, not LMA Petrochemical. The LMA Petrochemical is functional, which, by the way, is a more complex refinery than the refinery that is not working. So it is not a management issue. It is not a people issue. It's not a competence issue. It is an issue. It's a Nigerian issue. So those are the things that we need to look at and ask ourselves sincere questions. Do we really, really want it to work?
Well, here's one question. Do you think that we are serious at all? And I ask that because we push in these monies to these refineries, and we don't see them churn out what they're supposed to churn out. Are we holding anybody accountable? Shouldn't we hold somebody accountable? That's one. Secondly, what does this stop and start for these refineries say to the global investors, those outside watching us? Are you concerned that perhaps it sends a negative message, or there are no concerns at all?
So let's start with the first question that we have put in.
Accountability.
So in terms of accountability in public service, it's a general issue. So whether it is roads, I mean, there are certain roads. Lagos Ibadan, for example, probably has taken more money over the years. Don't forget that when you're going to be talking about this refinery or anything, if we are talking about decades, exactly, and generations in terms of people that have worked there. So it is not. If you go that route, you are actually going against a system. Whether that will be productive and whether that should be pursued is a different discussion entirely. But it's important to note that you are not looking at one person, you are not looking at a group of people, you are looking at generations, you're looking at the system and all that. So that's on one side. In terms of foreign investors and all that, I think sometimes we focus on the wrong things. Because in the first place, what investors look at primarily when they want to invest is returns. And they look at risk return. So you can have the best of environment, but if the business does not look at returns, they don't even look at it twice. You can have the most risky environment, If the environment is not, I mean, ExxonMobil has put in some billions already in Nigeria. I don't remember anybody complaining at the time that decision needed to be made, when they were going to make the FID for the NLNG plant. I don't remember anybody asking that much questions. There are those who have invested in agriculture. So when it comes to investors, I think sometimes we look at the wrong things. The things that is primary is the fact that the factors that determine their profitability in place are the factors that determine law and order, so that they are not cheated, so that they can get their returns. Those are the basic things that investors look at. They are not moralists. Okay. They're investors.
Well, marketers are actually saying that, look, 3 months, this refinery didn't produce any fuel 3 months before it was shut down. In fact, as far as they're concerned, it's just a face-saving move, that's been made to shut it down temporarily. Well, we hope it will get back to life sooner than later. Bode Sowunmi, oil and gas expert, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
On Newsnight, we're still as confused as we were before the conversation